All right, class. I want to talk to you a little bit about checkWin, get you thinking about it a little bit. I was really impressed when people came into work on it today, and I thought they did a really good job with it. So, here's the thing. I would just kind of break it down piece by piece. Sequencing is important. I mean, be careful that you're kind of looking at it and saying, okay, well, I want to determine whether or not the game is over versus whether it's a tie. It's a little harder to work in that direction because there could be available pieces left on the board. Like for example, here you still have available spaces left, but this game is over. Well, there's X has gone more times than O has, but this should register a win of some sort, right? So it's not enough to just find empty spaces to say, oh, the game's not over yet. Certainly, if the board is filled up, it's a tie if there's not a winner yet. So to me, the way to start doing this is to check to see if it's a winner first, and different ways you could do this, but I think the first way to start thinking about it is just, again, break it down. But you got 3 rows you're dealing with, you have 3 columns you're dealing with, and 2 diagonals. So can you just write some code that would check to see if there's a winner like on the first line? Like say, for example, this guy right here. Like, what if this was an O? What if this was an O? We'll pretend for right now that this is not an X. And so how could I check to see that that was a winner? Well, if I check to see what was in, this is the first row, first location, and if I said that is equal to what is in the first row, second index, and that's also, so you can use an AND connector here, or you can use sort of a double comparison here. This actually does work. But anyways, so you can say, okay, well, if they're all equal to each other, that means I must have a winner. Do you agree? For a winner. Let's see what happens here. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to display the board. I'm going to check for the win. My checkWin now has a print statement in it, so I will be able to see, even though I actually want to return at the end of the day, I will see something happen here. And it does say winner. Right, I got a winner in the first row. It says winner. Now what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to return 3. Just return 3 if O wins. So how do I determine that O has won? Right? What's the difference between? I don't know. I mean, how do I know that it's O and not X? How do I know it's no O and not X? Well, I hope you agree that this line here checks to see if they're all the same. Doesn't check which, which type is one, but certainly whatever's in this spot is the type of the winner. Whatever is in this spot is the type of the winner, or whatever in this spot is the type of the winner. It doesn't really matter. But if I check one of those things to see what it is, it will contain the winning value because they're all the same. So you can say if board 0, 0 equals O, right? Return 3. Right? So let's see this. Now I'm returning, which is actually what I want to do, but instead I could print and see it now. So I do get 3. 3 is what I want. It was O, right? Now just for a sanity check, we could say something like this and say, okay, boom. What if it is X? Then I want to return 2. And sure enough, I got 2. Okay, so that check works. Like this logic works. This logic works. And really, if you understand that, I mean, you basically just have to go through and check all the rows, check all the columns, check the diagonals, and you got something going there. And then can I show you something? I just want to show you a little trickarooski to kind of condense this code. So this is a little Python trickarooski. If I got just one line following an if statement, you actually put that one line on the same line as the if statement. So I just smashed it up there, and that works the same. No big deal. Boom. So, okay, so first of all, this is going to work the same, no big deal. Now, that's only true if it's one line, if the body of your if statement is one line. So that's kind of cool. It makes it a little more condensed. Now, I'm going to argue this. I'm going to argue that the logic here is the same. I'm going to make that argument. I want you to consider that. So I'm saying, like, hey, look, if there's an O in there, return 3. Otherwise, if there's not an O in there, return 2. I hope you agree that, again, where we're sitting inside this if statement where we've compared all these things to be the same, they're either all going to be O's or they're all going to be X's, right? We're not playing games that have T's and R's and other letters, right? So it's just O's and X's, so otherwise return 2. And sure enough, logically, that evaluates. So once again, this is kind of giving you, I don't want to give you everything right now, but I want to give you something to get started on to allow you to sort of start this thing. And ultimately then, I believe the way to approach this is to check for wins first, or check all the possibilities for a win. Then try to figure out a way to determine whether or not it's a tie. And ultimately, if it's not a tie and there's no winner, I would speculate the game is not a tie. And it's not won. So we could return 0. So hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully that type of thinking is starting to make some sense. Okay. All right. And